Look up in New York City, and you see a skyline that never sits still. Glass and steel stretch into the clouds, each tower reflecting the city's endless hunger to go higher. The streets below pulse with energy. But the real story is above, a story of ambition, rivalry, and reinvention. The rise of New York's skyscrapers is more than a tale of buildings. It's the story of how a city transformed itself and shaped the world's idea of progress. In the late 1800s, New York was running out of room. Immigrants arrived by the millions, land prices soared, and every inch of Manhattan became precious. The city could no longer grow outward, so it turned to the sky. What began as an experiment in engineering became a movement that would define modern life. The skyscraper became the city's new language, one spoken in height, ambition, and steel. The first chapter began in 1870 with the Equitable Life Building on Broadway. It was only 7 stories tall, but it introduced something revolutionary: the passenger elevator. Before elevators, upper floors were the least desirable spaces. With this invention, height became valuable. Architects soon realized that if they could build taller, they could fit more offices, more workers, and more profit into the same small footprint. The steel frame made this dream possible. No longer limited by heavy brick walls, builders could now reach unprecedented heights. By 1890, the World Building stood as the tallest in New York, rising 20 stories high. For the first time, people saw the skyline begin to change. The city that once grew sideways was now growing vertically. The skyline became a symbol of energy and confidence, a sign that New York was stepping into the future. In the early 1900s, skyscrapers became a contest of pride. Developers and architects raced to break records and outdo each other. The Flatiron Building, completed in 1902, shocked the city with its narrow, triangular shape. It looked unstable, but it stood firm, becoming one of the most photographed buildings in the world. Just a decade later, the Woolworth Building took things further. Financier Frank W. Woolworth paid cash to build it, a staggering $13.5 million. At 792 feet tall, it became known as the Cathedral of Commerce. It wasn't just a building, it was a statement of wealth and vision. The city's rapid vertical expansion led to a new challenge: sunlight. Streets were turning into dark canyons. So in 1916, New York passed the first zoning law in the nation. It required tall buildings to have setbacks, step-like designs that allowed light to reach the ground. This law shaped the city's distinctive silhouette, giving rise to the wedding cake form that defined the skyline for decades. Then came the era of giants. In the late 1920s and early 1930s, the competition to build the world's tallest building reached its peak. The Chrysler Building, completed in 1930, was an Art Deco masterpiece. Architect William Van Allen secretly assembled its stainless steel spire inside the tower and hoisted it into place to claim the title of world's tallest. But his triumph lasted less than a year. The Empire State Building opened in 1931 and dwarfed everything around it. Standing 1,250 feet tall, it became a beacon of strength during the Great Depression. While much of the country struggled, New York built upward, declaring to the world that it would not stop. By the mid-20th century, the style of skyscrapers changed. After World War II, corporations sought buildings that reflected modern efficiency. The Lever House, completed in 1952, introduced a curtain wall of glass and steel, marking a shift to minimalist design. The Seagram Building followed, designed by Ludwig Mies van der Rohe and Philip Johnson. Its bronze facade and open plaza made it a model of elegance and restraint. These towers represented a new kind of power: quiet, disciplined, and global. In the 1960s, New York's ambitions reached a new scale. The World Trade Center complex was conceived as a global symbol of commerce. Architect Minori Yamasaki designed the Twin Towers using an innovative tube structure, allowing them to rise more than 1,360 feet each, with less steel than earlier giants. The project transformed Lower Manhattan, but also displaced many residents and small businesses. When completed in the 1970s, the towers became icons of American progress, bold, simple, and instantly recognizable. For nearly 3 decades, the Twin Towers defined New York's skyline. They appeared in movies, postcards, and every aerial shot of the city. Then came September 11th, 2001. In a single morning, the towers fell, and the world changed. It was more than a loss of life and architecture. It was a wound to the city's spirit. But out of that tragedy came renewal. New York chose to rebuild, not retreat. The new One World Trade Center rose from the same ground, completed in 2013. At 1,776 feet, its height carries meaning, a nod to America's founding year and a symbol of endurance. It stands as both a memorial and a declaration. The city will always rise again. Around it, a new skyline took shape. Hudson Yards emerged as a futuristic city within a city. Towers like 432 Park Avenue and Via 57 West pushed the boundaries of design, focusing not just on office space, but on luxury living. Skyscrapers were no longer just for business. They had become homes in the clouds. Technology changed everything again. New materials made towers lighter and stronger. Smart systems monitor energy and temperature. Architects now think not just about height, but about sustainability and human comfort. The skyline keeps evolving, shaped by new values, environmental awareness, beauty, and the quality of urban life. Through all its changes, one constant defines New York's skyscrapers: resilience. Every tower tells a story of risk and belief. Steelworkers once balanced on narrow beams hundreds of feet in the air, building by hand with courage and precision. Immigrants found work on these projects, helping to raise the structures that would come to represent the American dream. Architects and engineers turned their ideas into monuments. Together, they built not just a skyline, but a symbol of what human ambition can achieve. The skyline of New York is more than a backdrop. It's a living record. From the Equitable Life Building to the Empire State Building, from the Twin Towers to One World Trade Center, every generation has added a new layer. These buildings hold stories of competition, innovation, tragedy, and triumph. They show how a city, no matter how crowded or challenged, keeps reaching upward. Today, the skyline is still changing. New skyscrapers rise with shapes that twist, taper, or fold. Some reach higher than ever. Others aim to stand out through design rather than height. But each new addition stands among its ancestors, those classic Art Deco spires and glass-walled towers that defined earlier eras. The old and the new coexist, giving the skyline a rhythm that mirrors the city itself. New York's skyscrapers continue to inspire the world. Cities from Dubai to Shanghai studied its evolution, borrowing ideas and spirit. Yet none have captured the same feeling, that mixture of chaos, ambition, and beauty that defines Manhattan's vertical landscape. The skyline isn't finished because New York itself never is. Walk through Manhattan today and you can feel the city's history in its towers. Every block holds a piece of the story. The old ironwork of downtown, the gleaming glass uptown, the cranes that never rest. The skyline changes, but its message remains. Progress is a permanent part of New York's identity. When you stop on the sidewalk and look up, you're seeing more than architecture. You're seeing generations of dreamers, builders, and workers who refused to stop climbing. Each skyscraper is a reminder of what the city believes in: movement, renewal, and ambition without limits. The skyline tells us that New York doesn't just exist on the ground, its spirit lives in the sky. The city that taught the world how to build upward.